Okay, thanks for the patience. So let's we start the session. Before we start the session, so let me introduce about our admin group and the group leaders. Whatever it is, always we have the introduction part before we start the session actual concept. So this is like the same thing. It's like a formalities. One more thing we have. So till now we have completed 20 plus events in the admin group, Salesforce admin group Trichy region, and I'm really glad to share about that point to you guys. So now we are moving on to the session. So today the session is focused on the data security. So Salesforce, uh, uh, if you have any problem in the audio and screen sharing part, please let me know. Okay.
It's good.
So yeah, review on data security is the today's topic, because data security is the major part in the Salesforce admin concept, because the admin concept mainly focus on the low code concept, because we don't want to write in single point of code in the development part while we are doing some development in the admin areas. The data security is more helpful to restrict and provide access to the users based on the criterias and based on the level of access those users have some basic access levels in their role based. Okay, so the data security, not only it's like data security is a single concept, it's comprised maximum 7 to 8 concept in it. It's like queue, public groups, roles, sharing settings, OWD, permission set group, profiles. Now we have one more add-on options like restriction rules. So we are going to talk about all the data security. So we have some unknown facts on it, the data security. Basically we know about the data security have some hierarchy level access, like record level and field level, object level. Okay, so cumulatively we have access, and I mean give the access and restrict the access for the users based on the object level access, field level access, and record level access. So this is a hierarchy. So here we have some unknown facts in the profile. We have we don't know about the unknown facts about the license. We don't know about the unknown facts about the permission set and permission set groups. So today we are going to talk about all those things. Before that, let me introduce about the group leaders and Salesforce admin groups. So we are from the Salesforce admin group Trichy. For myself, Kader Basha, as a Salesforce admin group lead, and Sundaravel J is the group community co-leader. So we both are have the 4 plus years of experience in Salesforce, both in admin and development. But we mainly focus and supported the admin concept because it is very useful and easy to develop all those things compared with the development part. Okay, let's move on to the agenda. Today's agenda. What are the things we are going to see today in this session? First, we are going to see about the introduction. What is data security, when we used, what is the exact usage, what are the features are available in this data security concept. Okay, the next thing, existing record sharing rule. Okay, the sharing rule means we have give the access for the record level, not only in the, not for the object and field level. It's only give the access for the record level. So sharing rule also has two different categories, like owner based and criteria based. Exactly, we have one more rule like restriction rule. It's like a new one from the previous update, Salesforce update. And we have one more thing, it's like scoping rule, but we don't have any idea till now about the scoping rule. We don't have any clear view, clear shape for the scoping rule. But we have the scoping rule, but some the sandboxes or some developer edition or enterprise edition and some other editions have this scoping rule option in the object manager inside of the every object is objects. But someone don't have this because they don't have any updated version of that sandboxes. Okay, that is no problem. After that, we have some examples, some demo and question answer session for this concept. So let's move on to the introduction. So data security, completely data. So for example, we take this admin part, the admin part in the Salesforce org. Okay, so the Salesforce org act as a database for the Salesforce developments. Okay, in the development part, they have some coding concept, they have some UI level access, UI level coding parts. So whatever it is, but in the admin part, like Salesforce has or have some automation concept, have some email alert concept, have some field objects and record level concepts. So everything have some like it's like a sensitive, has some sensitive data and sensitive information. So we need to put some security concept. We need to protect the data from the outside of the Salesforce or users. Okay, so that time, what is the exact solution Salesforce provide inbuilt? They have some data security concepts like the license, profile, users, role, group, queue, permission set, group, sharing settings. Now they have one more add-on options like restriction rules. So the license. In the license in Salesforce, we have a lot of licenses like Salesforce platform, and chatter free users. It's like some other different license are available in the Salesforce organization, but mainly we focus on the Salesforce license because Salesforce license have more advantages and more efficient to protect the data from the hackers. That is the reason we choose Salesforce license. But there is a limitation for the Salesforce license. What is the limitation in Salesforce license? Okay, the license Salesforce, okay, we have created n number of users. Okay, we are able to create n number of users, but we can make two users active at a time. Okay, the one user is system administrator by default. Except system administrator, we have make active one more user which is belong to Salesforce license. So if you want to create more users, means you can inactive the existing user and then you can create the user which is have the license as Salesforce. Because if you are not going to inactive the existing user, that time the drop down license drop down doesn't show the Salesforce license option. Okay, so you need to inactive the option, I mean user. Next is the profile. The profile also have some like limitations, advantages, like okay, the system administrator profile is the high rated profile. Okay, so because that is really belong to the Salesforce license. If you choose Salesforce license, we have one more option like a system administrator as a profile in the drop down. So system administrator profile also have some limitations. Okay, you are not able to edit the system administrator profile. Okay, like I mean the administrative permission, general user permissions, standard and custom object permission, these are all the option not editable. Okay, you are not supposed to edit those options. Whatever it is in the system administrator profile, you can use it as it is. So that is the reason we have one more option like cloning option. So you want the same concept, same profile. Okay, what are the options available in the system administrator profile? You need the same profile, but you want to edit that profile as per your requirement. That is the reason we are going to clone the system administrator profile and give custom name, whatever it is as per your convenient. You can put like clone system admin profile, whatever name you want. Okay, that time the profile contains all the features of system administrator, all the advantages of system administrator, but this time you can edit. Okay, you can you are able to edit the profile as per your requirement. So that is a limitation in the system administrator profile. And users, the user is like an setup object. Okay, in a Salesforce we have two flavors of objects like setup and non-setup. What is the setup objects? Like page layouts, record types, profiles, users, these all are the setup objects. And non-setup objects comes like standard objects, custom objects. Okay, so we are not going to talk about the non-setup objects. We are only going to talk about the setup objects. The setup objects, we have two more objects in the data secret like profile and users. So in the user, it's like an object. You can create a user like a record. If you're going to create one new user, that is called a record, user record. That time in a non-setup object like custom object, standard object, if you created any record mistakenly, for you don't want record that more for long the access, you want to delete the records, so definitely you can able to delete the S object records like non-setup object records. But setup object in a user record, you are not able to delete the user records. Once you created the user record, means that is should be kept in the org. Okay, that time what is the exact thing we need to do in the user record? If you don't want to no longer for use that record in the user object, so you can do two things. Okay, the first one is freeze. You can freeze the user. The second things make as inactive. So these two things only you can able to do. Okay, so the next one is a role. what is the role exactly explains in your organization. If you are a working person in a IT industry, like there is must be a CEO, and there must be uh, manager, and there must be a technical lead, associate lead. So it's like a hierarchy. So each one of you reports to someone else in the top hierarchy, like associate technical lead reports to the technical lead, and technical lead reports to the manager, and the manager reports to the CEO. So this is like a hierarchy, like tree structure, like, okay. So here also we can have some role based access, okay. In a OWD, org wide defaults, there is a sharing option for the records, especially for the records. That place we have one more column in the grant access hierarchy, okay. That time in the standard objects, it's like a static one. You are not supposed to edit the grant access hierarchy. It is automatically check the check boxes, check the check boxes, and is disabled. You are not able to edit. But according to the custom objects and grant access hierarchy, you can able to check the uncheck the checkbox. So what is the exact usage of the role? Okay, grant access hierarchy. So if the role for CEO can able to see the if the CEO belongs to owner of some records, they can able to see that record also. At the same time, he can also see the record of his subordinates, like manager. Okay, if manager have some records, the record should be visible to the CEO. Okay, but not in the low level hierarchy, in the high level hierarchy. Okay. Next, group and queue. What is the exact difference between the public group and queue? Public group, it's none other than it's like a WhatsApp group. WhatsApp group, you have some WhatsApp group, you can add more users and make some people as an admin. Okay, there you can share everything. Okay, you can access everything as a member or else as an admin. But instead of the group, you can use the queue. Means in that case, queue also have some users as a member for the queue, but in the queue have some extra benefits. We can dedicate this group to some objects, like standard object, custom object, whatever objects. That time also you can use that group for the particular object. Okay, not for all the objects. Whatever objects you assigned for this group, that object should use this group queue, for not all the objects. Okay, but group every object, it's a open source. In extra benefits for queue, instead of we can send the emails to the members. Basically, generally we are using queue for assignment rule. Basically, the assignment rule is used to automatically assign the owner for the particular case object. Like the assignment rule only available for the case object and lead object. Okay, for example, you are an Amazon customer, you are going to order some products, and the products is also delivered to you. After the delivery, you have find out some defects on the product. That time you are going to raise a case to the Amazon customer care. So you are only the person to raise a case. There is millions of people, lakhs of people raise a case at a time, but all those cases are go to Amazon help center. That time they are redirect to the cases, automatically assigned to some other person, sales represent, not only single person. It's like a collective of members in that queue, like group. So there they have choose that particular cases, and they are try to solve, give the solution to you. Okay, so that is the concept here. The queue also, if you create a queue for the case object, that queue option available in the list view also, the case object list view also. Next, the permission set group. Okay, the permission set is single. If you are going to access a single permission set, that is definitely it's like a permission set. If you are going to access the collective of, more than one permission set, that is called a permission set group. Okay, what is the exact usage of permission set? Okay, in a permission set, you are going to give access for the fields and the object. Okay, not for records. It's only accessible for fields and object. It's used to only give the access, not remove the access. The permission set used to give the access to the objects and fields. Okay, the permission set also, we have a lot of options like Apex classes, object settings, system permissions, and app permissions. It have some lot of categories to give the permissions to particular thing based on the object and fields. The permission set group, you can add more permission set in that group, and you can collectively assign to some other users. Now the settings have some different types like org wide defaults, OWD. There we can remove the access for give and remove the access for the records based on the object. And there is two different sharing rules also available. The first one is criteria based and second one is owner based. So now we are going to see in depth sharing hierarchy. So what is the sharing hierarchy? So we have three different hierarchies. Like first you are going to create app, then you can create an object and add that object to the apps, and finally then after you create a fields inside of the object, finally you are going to create a records for that object. Okay, so this is a hierarchy. For objects and fields we have profile and permission set to give and remove the access for that object and fields. But records, we have different sharing settings like organization by defaults and sharing rules. Now we have one more add-on options like restriction rules and schema level sharing. Schema level means it's like object and fields. We can use profile to remove the access for objects and fields. If you are give the access in the profile, means it's reflected all the users who all are belong to that particular profile. But if you are removing from the profile, so it's the same thing. It's removed all the access for all the users who all are belong to the profile. But at the same time you can create a respective permission set for the particular users. So you can give whatever access you want to give, put that access in the permission set and assign that permission set to the particular, I mean special user. You if you want to give access to some users, means you can add the those users in the permission set. The next thing, record level sharing. We can use OWT to remove the access for records and give the access also. And there is two different things like is internal access and external access. You can set both in the same value. Like if you are going to set private for the internal access, same thing for the external access also. There is a three different level of access like private, public read only, public read write. Okay. So if it is the object belongs to the private access, means that is completely private, the record should be displayed to the owner of the record. If it is public read only, means the record should be displayed for all the users. Okay, according apart from the owner, but they are only able to view the records, not they are able to edit the records. If it is a public read write, means it's a complete access for those object for all the users. Okay, and we can use the sharing settings provide access for the records also. Here we need to make sure in the profile level we have two options in the object settings. Okay, like standard object and custom object permissions. We have options like view all and modify all. If the view all and modify all is checked, means that profile override the OWD. Whatever settings you can set in the OWD, that is not I mean that is not considered. Whatever option we all modify it's enabled in the profile level, means that is only considered. So the records should be view, show and hide based on the view all and modify all option in the profile. And next thing, sharing rule types. Okay, the next thing, sharing rules. Okay, the types of sharing rule is owner based and criteria based. The owner based means we can share a owner record which is belong to some particular roles, I mean groups and users. Okay, that record should be shared with the role based users. Okay, the next criteria based means you can create open a record. You can pick some fields like if like the gender pick list field if we have in the object, means we can pick that pick list field and set the criteria. Gender equals to male, that record who all are what are the record belongs to gender male, means that record should be shared with the particular users. That is called sharing rule. And controlled by parent. In the OWD we have one more options like controlled by parent. In OWD any object contains controlled by parent in both internal and external access. That object in MD relationship, so we can understood that object should be in the MD relationship. Sharing settings are inherited from the parent. We are not able to set any sharing settings for that object who have the controlled by parent option. And the profile level permissions, we have two more options like general user permissions, administrative permissions. Okay, let's moving on to the demo part. So my org is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so initially we are going to check the users. So in users, we have some users. Okay, here we have one more users like admin clone. I'm already cloned the profile, system administrator, and they name it as admin clone. See, the user license is Salesforce. Okay, so if I'm going to open this admin profile, I mean admin clone profile, I have more options. Like initially, before click the edit option, we can edit the page layout assignments, and we can edit the field level security, and we can able to edit the sorry, record type settings. Okay, you can assign and remove the record types also. If you are going to enter edit option in the clone profile, so here we have options like administrative permissions and general user permissions. These permissions are very important according to the profile. Uh, for example, if you are do the some security based concept, like you want to protect the dashboards, you want to protect the reports, list views, you want to protect the scheduled jobs, you don't want to show anything to the rest of the users. As an admin, you want to you want to show the things for the particular users. That time you can manipulate those things here. Like for example, see this here, see this here. uh, just a minute. See, view dashboard is in public folders. If you are make this enable means that the dashboard folder should be available for all the users. Okay, manage dynamic dashboard. If you are uncheck this one means you are not able to create that one. I mean, manage means it's complete all view, edit, and delete all the options. Okay, and manage all private for reports and dashboard means you can configure the settings for the reports and dashboards, so you can restrict the access for other users except system administrator. Here also edit my dashboards, so here create and customize dashboards. So if you uncheck this one means you are not able to create the dashboard. Okay, for example, change dashboard colors. And in the general user permissions also we have some options like send email option. So you can remove the email access for here and send a non-commercial email also, and drag and drop dashboard builder, and manage articles objects also, cases also here. So you are not supposed to create, if you uncheck this means you are not supposed to create, edit, delete, or do the CRUD operations in the case object. Okay, so you can restrict all those things in the profile level. See, this is a standard object. So initially we are talking about the view all and modify all. So view all, check the boxes in this column if you want to use us with this profile to have view access to all records of the selected object type regardless of the sharing settings for the object. So whatever settings you are made in the sharing settings, that is not reflected, so the profile is overridden. So what are the options here? The data administration should be reflect in the record level access. And this is a custom object permissions. And here we have some external object permissions also. Okay. External object means you can create an object through the callouts and the external resource. Now I'm going to see the users. The users, I already have some users belong to the admin clone profile. So clearly it's a Salesforce license. So I'm going to inactive this user. So now I'm going to create a user. Okay, that time we have option in the user license option, drop down Salesforce. But I'm going to again edit the user and active that user. See, now I'm going to create a one more user, new user. This time the Salesforce is not available here. So that is the reason we can create a n number of users in the Salesforce license, but at a time we can make two users active in our org. So if you want to create new users in the Salesforce license, you need to inactive that existing user. And okay, now we are moving on to the profile. Sorry, role. In the roles also, we have some role options like MST. It's like org name, and we have CEO, CFO, COO. And it's like some roles. So here I have created the manager, tech lead, associate, and a team member. So if you want to assign a user to this team member, so I can click assign here. So I can choose any user. So I'm already used to some users and I assign that user here. So this is the role, but in the role maximum used in the sharing settings. Not all the places role have limited access. I mean limited usage in the Salesforce org. We are not using the role options maximum in our org. While we are in the record level sharing settings, that time only we are using the roles. But in the queue options, I'm going to open this queue. So I already created three different queue for the keys object. So if I'm going to check the keys object, so here I have that queue name as well, a list view. Sales team escalation queue, assignment queue. So whatever the assignment are performed and the owner is changed based on the assignment rule, that queue as a list view. We can only see the records which belong to this queue. This is the one of the advantages. If I'm going to create the queue, here we have one more options like send the email to the members. If I click the new queue, see send the email to the members means if it is the queue used in the assignment rule or anything else, that time the email should be sent to the members who all are the member in the queue. For example, you are going to assign some particular task to the queue. That queue contain five members. That time the five members should receive the email from this queue. So this is one of the option. But in spite of queue, if we are going to the public group, that public group doesn't contain any options, like we can not set any objects or email options here. We simply create the group and add the users to the group, or else you can create a group and add them roles and subordinates, roles and internal and portal subordinates and users also. You can add a group to the group. Okay, you can add a users to the group, roles to the group, whatever it is. You can, if you want to add anyone else, you can add them in the public groups. And in the permission set, so permission set also, we can create I mean access something like, if I'm going to create a new permission set, so here you can choose a license also. Here we don't have a Salesforce license, so simply click save. Once you created the permissions, there is a categories like apps, system. The ops means assigned apps and assigned connected apps, object settings, app permissions, Apex class access, Visual Force pages objects, external data sources access, so flow access, everything we have in the permission set. We can able to give the access to all these like custom settings, custom metadata types, custom permissions, everything. But here in the permission, system permission in the sense, permissions to perform actions that apply across apps such as modify all data. So system permissions means you can set give the access to all the non-setup objects also, like extra things like multi-factor authentication, two-step authentication, and extra like login IP ranges and reset option, security token option, everything have we have in the system options. In the users also, you can set some values, assign permission sets to the users. Okay, and permission set groups. Here we can add more individual permission sets to the respective groups. For example, I'm going to click the permission set groups. I'm going to create new permission set group. So let's say the permission set group is created, and I'm going to add one more permission set in the group. For example, I add this one, this permission set to the permission set group. Okay, now I'm moving to the permission set group. See, muting permission set is the major option here. If I'm clicking muting permission set means, so here I have created the muted option. So now the test group is muted. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the permission set group. So in the muted permission set group, you can open that one. And here add permission set. Hmm. So you can add like object settings. If you are going to add the object settings, I'm going to create a account option. So I have just create one more option, like here I set read option. I just give the read option as a muted one. So it's completely muted everything for the read. So I just click edit. So create option. So I just muted the option for account objects, the create option. Okay, so that is not available for the respective user who is assigned to this muted permission set. Okay. Mm, Now moving on to the roles hierarchy sharing settings. In the sharing settings, I'm already mentioned about the controlled by parent. See here, this is a controlled by parent. It means the order and the asset is the child of the MD relationship. Okay, so we are not supposed to set the access level for this object. Here also we have grant access hierarchy. So the hierarchy, if it is checked, means the access for the based on the hierarchy level. The top level hierarchy should see the visible access for the low level hierarchy person's record. So if I'm clicking the edit option in the OWD, see here it's a three different options: private, public read only, public read write. So the grant access hierarchy is disabled for the standard objects, but custom object it is enabled. You can add or remove the grant access hierarchy for the custom objects. So what all are the objects in the MD relationship? For example, the custom objects. I'm talking about the custom objects. Here, the controlled by parent is the child object. Okay, child in the MD relationship of child. So I just click edit. The child object is not available in the edit pane. Okay. See, here the object is not available because that is in the MD's relationship child object. So that is not available here. And we have a sharing rule for the individual object. Every individual object have the sharing rules. So if I'm going to create a sharing rule for the account, here we have some options like owner based and the criteria based, or there is one more access like guest user access based on the criteria. It's like a guest user for the community profile we have like it's like guest profile. Okay, So for community builder, community pages, we have different profiles, not in the profile which is available in Salesforce org. It is like different from different profile for the community. So same thing like guest user access also. If you are not, since you are a guest user means we can give the access to the persons. For example, here public groups. So who all are belong to these groups, that users record should be shared with the same group. So some other groups, so who which records belong to the training group members, that record shared with the training group members. Okay. So here we have options like contact access is like read only. Sorry, default account and contact access, contact, because account and contact in the relationship. Okay. So if you are remove any access for the account, that should be reflected for the contact also. So the contact access is private, opportunity access is private, case of access is private, since we are in the account sharing group. Okay. So basically these are the major objects. So we can give the access to these objects. If you are in the custom object sharing rule, for example, I have choose this sharing rule. You have only access level alone, whose record shared with whom and what is the level of access. Simply here also we have based on record owner. If you are, it is criteria means, for example, the child opportunity name equals something like test, which what all the records have the name as test, that records only should share with the either roles and subordinates and groups. If I'm going to choose a role, so I can assign that. So the manager level role only can view the records of this test record. I mean, whose name is test. So this is sharing settings we have. Now we are moving on to the add-on service like it's like a restriction rule. See, the restriction rule is inside of this every object. Since I am in the custom object and create new rule, so I'm going to create rule. Before creating the rule, I need to make sure two things. The first thing, the sharing settings. I'm going to do this for Salesforce training object and edit. Make sure that our object have the private option. Okay, and click save. And second thing, we need to make sure in the profile level. So since it's not committed in the database, it's only saved. Okay. So until then, we are moving on to the profile. First, we need to check the users, because we are going to give access to some users, like the test user. So if this user belong to the admin clone profile, so we need to make sure in the profile view all modifier it's in a checked or unchecked. So I'm going to click edit. So here completely removed everything. So no worry about that. We just click save. Sharing settings, we need to make sure whether that is committed or not. Okay, committed. So now I'm moving on to the restriction rule. Sorry, restriction rules bottom. So I click new restriction rule, new rule, and it's active. The user criteria, set the user like choose allies, and string is like current. I just put string and choose the user's allies name. Mm, it's analysis and record. I can choose register number, and before that I can check the Salesforce training. There is two different records. So the first one is demo. So register number is one. I can copy the string and hard code it here. So now click save. The restriction rule is saved and active. Okay. So if I am administrator, I can see all the records. There is a two different records. So I can create one more records also. Okay, storage limit. Okay, two record is enough. So I'm going to log in this record. Sorry. I think we have removed all the permissions in the profile. That is the reason it's not shows the record. So we need to log out here and moving on to the profile. So in the profile, I choose this admin clone profile, edit, set all the thing except view all modifier. Okay, click save. Now moving on to the users and login. Now click the object. I am not able to see all the records, not only single records which is we are shared in the restriction rule. Because we are removed view all modifier in the profile level and we are removed the public read write in the sharing settings also. So if I'm going to give the sharing public read write in the sharing settings, I think we should put the public read only. I think we are in the different login. We need to log in again as an admin. Okay, it's in the public read only already. See the that record only visible, which is have the register number one. So if you want to access the restriction rules, we need to give the access either in the sharing settings or in the profile level view or modifier. Okay, that time only it's visible. So if you remove both options from the sharing settings from the under profile, that sharing restriction rule is not a valid one. Okay. And any questions till now? Okay. Okay. Thanks to join this session and make this session as a successful one. And thanks for the cooperation. Okay, we will meet in the next one. Thank you. Bye.